Huh? Oh,
What?
where where are we? Who are
Oh,
you?
ah, fuck, has it been a year? Where?
It's been.
How
Where
long
were
has it
you?
been?
I've been waiting in here for so long. It got cold.
Freddy got fingered, sent me to the emergency room. I thought we talked about this.
It was so cold, Michael. I had to eat the other co-stars.
Ha- I, I don't know what to even say to that, actually.
Wrong one.
Oh my god,
Zombie
Scooby Doo! Oh my
Island!
god, Scooby Doo!
It's Scoober Doober! Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinema Gremlins.
It's been very, very long, but we're back with a versus-ish battle, if you will. Kind of.
I would say kind
I'd say
of
an analysis
a
of the two.
retrospective. How about that?
Yeah, not of every late 90s Scooby-Doo thing, but primarily I'd say the two most well-known.
The ones that are canonically direct sequels of each other.
That and also the most Halloween-y of the
Yes.
ones.
Besides the one that's literally called like Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo that was made by the Billy and Mandy people.
Which, ironically, Witch's Ghost is more a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah! Because it goes
Like,
gobble gobble.
It's really weird because I always see Witch's Ghost associated with Halloween like Zombie Island, but Witch's Ghost is blatantly a Thanksgiving movie. It's very weird.
It really is. So yes, we are going to be discussing Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost. The movies that are highly considered to be the best Scooby products ever made, I would say.
I'd say debatably. I'd say Zombie Island is probably the thing. That and like Mystery Inc. are considered like the two best Scooby-Doo things ever made.
But I mean, like, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island was the first time that people regarded Scooby as like, whoa, it could be this good.
Well, it's interesting because before we started, I watched a video talking about like the production of Zombie Island because I was actually kind of curious because I've never really looked into the production, and I guess at the time, Pup Named Scooby-Doo had gone off the air, and I guess there hadn't been any Scooby-Doo in syndication for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah, the thing is that Zombie Island was what breathed new life into Scooby-Doo, because I think that I may be incorrect. This was 99, right? Or
98, 97, okay. Something like that.
Because I think the most recent thing Scooby related
98
was Bravo Doobie-Doo back in like 97.
Well, because that was kind of I think it's something interesting where I think a lot of people don't realize how important that crossover was at the time.
Also, fun fact, the first time that Scooby was voiced by someone who wasn't like Don Messick.
Well, I think he had either just passed away or I think he had a stroke. It was like one of the two.
Before he died. Like, at least as Scooby. He was playing other characters, but for Scooby was way too hard on his voice at that point in time, so he retired. And it wasn't Scott Innings who did Scooby for Bravo Doobie-Doo. It was Hadley K, aka Darkheart from the Care Bears movie.
I think he was actually in a couple Care Bears things, but I think that was like the most well-known thing he did. He was Darkheart in the
second one, and I think he was Arthur the Magician Kid.
He was the main kid in the first movie. Holy shit, that's weird.
They were very consistent with their casting for the first two Care Bears movies. I don't think he was in Care Bears in Wonderland, though.
No, he was not. He was also not in the show, from what I'm seeing.
Yes, but Hadley K got the distinction as the first Scooby, the first post-Dawn Scooby. I mean, there's technically there was someone else who was playing him in Starlink commercials.
Yeah, that was
that was
commercial, Prime Star is what you're thinking.
Yes, yeah, Starlink is the musky internet thing.
That was Greg Burson, and Greg Burson was basically he was the Dawes Butler replacement. He played everything
Yeah,
Dawes
but I mean,
Butler
like, if we're
did after
counting
he
like
died.
actual on-screen important appearances, Hadley was the first one. Also, I mean, I don't really want to give credit to Greg Burson for most things, knowing what happened with them.
Greg Burson is a very
Greg Burson needs a video essay on them, like a
no.
12-hour
I am
essay.
shocked there never has been a video essay because it is so tragic what happened to him.
That's like watching a behind the music kind of thing. Like,
no, genuinely, like the downfall of Greg Burson, especially given that he was not only was he the Dawes Butler replacement, he was the Mel Blanc replacement for a lot of characters.
He had so much potential, and then, you know, because
I would argue
people,
he was one of the best impressionists like ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, if people have ever watched, because correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Greg the Looney Tunes for Tiny Toons?
Most. He was most of them. Sometimes they would flip. Sometimes they would flip flop. Yeah, he would flip. Sometimes they would like flip flop between performers, but he was Bugs, Daffy, Porky, Elmer, Foghorn, and Pepe,
which are like, you know, the heavy hitters, and Pepe is also there. So like. But we're not talking about Greg Burson. He's not in this particular.
No, ironically, he was the villain in the Johnny Bravo crossover.
Oh yeah, but point being, before this, Scooby was kind of like this weird, you know, you know how people reference like Speed Buggy and shit nowadays? Scooby used to be like that, where it was just one of those
did you last see a
things.
Speed Buggy reference?
Huh?
When did you last see a Speed Buggy reference?
I mean, in Scooby Doo. The thing is that Scooby.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know what I mean. Like it's like a classic reference in things, rather than it being its own entity. I think like the last time we've seen Speed Buggy in something was Jellystone, but Jellystone is literally made to be, hey, every Hanna-Barbera thing that's not Scooby-Doo.
What's that dinosaur? What Valley of the Dinosaurs? That like one scene of that dinosaur in the park having therapy. Something, and it's like, I've learned to not be scared of impending doom. Me, Gilbert from Valley of the Dinosaurs, which is like a one-season show in like 1987,
or or God, what was it? The in that new Muppets show on Disney Plus, the one for Electric Mayhem, they meet Peter Jackson and they mention the
Meet the Feebles.
Yes, they're like, we haven't seen you since we met the Feebles. Yeah, 2 of them are in rehab, the rest are in jail. So, point being, Scooby used to be, you know, in that kind of esoteric reference thing for a bit.
It's Scooby Doo is something where it's so weird to think that Scooby Doo was at any point where Scooby Doo was just the reference show, or like the show that people would reference in another cartoon kind of thing. Like there was nothing relevant involving Scooby Doo at the time, kind of thing.
Exactly. But then once, you know, when Bravo Dooby Doo came out, actually showed a little bit of interest, you know, how important that was. People don't realize.
And also, when they started running Scooby Doo in syndication, they got really good ratings from that.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
kind of that was the other thing.
They reran it on Cartoon Network all the fucking time. But yeah, and then, you know, people got together, they fell in love, and Zombie Island was made.
And here we are.
Yes, here we are. But, like, I remember getting Zombie Island on VHS tape back in the day.
And it was like a special VHS, because I actually learned at the time it was actually a more expensive VHS than average. It was like a $20 VHS tape.
It's also one of the highest selling VHS tapes, which is wild to think of.
Crazy to think that a fucking Scooby-Doo movie is one of the best-selling VHS tapes of all time.
Yeah, and I think it was the highest selling VHS of 1998. which is wild to me. But I mean, there is a reason. It's a very, very good movie, and it's so different from previous, like, Scooby anythings, you know?
Yeah. For me, I'm a bit more of a hot take person with that movie, in that I like it, but it's never clicked with me. Like, I don't know. I think comparative to some other Scooby-Doo straight to DVD things, and even some other, like, projects similar to it, I don't know. Zombie Island has always been one of those things where I remember even as a kid, I didn't watch it as much as some of the other movies that were out at the time, like straight to DVD wise.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of treated it, because I hadn't watched it for years and years and years and years. And I rewatched it, I think, 4 years ago, and I don't think I'd watched it since I was like 11 or 12. And
I watch it every Halloween, so I am not in the same boat as you, bud.
I was kind of thinking, because as a kid, I would watch the Land Before Time sequels more than the first one. And now, that's the complete fucking opposite. I refuse to touch the sequels.
Even the one with Jeff Bennett as the alien dinosaur?
Which Jeff Bennett's in, like, all of them. Like, Jeff Bennett in a Land Before Time movie is not special.
Find the Jeff Bennett.
He's Petrie. He's in all of them.
That's true. I'm taught. Well, but yes, but you know.
But I was rewatching Zombie Island a few years ago after not seeing it for probably a decade. I was really hoping, after, like, for years I had always heard everyone say it's like, oh, it's the best fucking Scooby-Doo thing ever. Like, I was hoping rewatching it would, like, click with me, like when I rewatched the first Land Before Time after not seeing it for, like, over a decade. And I was kind of thinking, like, okay, it's gonna click with me. I'm really gonna like it. I rewatched it, and I was like, yeah, I feel about the same as I did as a kid. I like it. I don't know. I can't even explain it, really.
Well,
it doesn't click with me.
Let's start with the positives, because there is a lot of objective positives about Zombie Island.
I know. Again, I do like it. It's just,
I know,
it's
but
just,
I'm just
it's
saying,
never
like,
hit. It's never hit me.
And then we can get to, you know, the things that may not click. Biggest positive: the movie looks beautiful.
Well, I think, was it ACOM? I don't know who did all of them.
I think it's ACOM. I think it was the same people who did SWAT Cats.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and, like, it is... I always called it the anime Scooby-Doos, because you could really tell, especially with some of Shaggy's expressions. I
was going to say, with Witch's Ghost in particular, you can really see a lot of the anime influence in some of the shots. Yeah,
there's a particular shot in Zombie Island. I think it's right after Scooby and Shaggy eat the peppers, and Shaggy just has those type of, like, clenched teeth that you see in a lot of, especially, like, 80s anime, where the way that they indicate that the teeth are clenched is that there's little crosses, you know, not drawn individually.
Oh, like the tiny little crosses that don't
very
connect.
Lupin teeth is the best way I could put it. But it also makes sense, because I think Iwa Takamoto, who designed the characters originally, was, like, a really specific supervisor in this movie for Shaggy and Scooby in particular. He had a very big hand in the designs for this movie, which I respect. But yeah, the movie just looks great. I love so much of, like, is the New Orleans aesthetic, the plantation. The only thing I will ever like about a plantation is the design of the plantation in Zombie Island. And the zombies themselves are fucking terrifying. Like,
I really like the montage where they show them unmasking all the different criminals when they're traveling.
The Ghost is Here segment, where it's like, Ghost is here.
That is some of the best creature designs I think they've had in that era, in terms of, like, the actual monster costume designs. Like, I love that fucking crawfish, that mutant crawfish thing.
That one's a really good one. I love the Batman. Not Batman.
Oh, not Batman.
Batman.
The Batman. And not the Batman. The Batman.
That chases them. it's such a good set. Also, I really love, like, this is something that I wish they would do more of with Scooby things, is have them time skipped, you know? Because I really love the whole concept of Daphne being a show host and Velma owning a bookstore, Shaggy and Scooby not being able to hold jobs if their life depended on it.
Well, it's like, well, if I recall, didn't they keep that for a long time, even after the movies?
Well, like,
Because wasn't What's New Scooby Doo also like kind of a follow up to these?
Well, like, the thing is that Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, and Cyber Chase were the only ones of post Pup era where they explicitly stated that these characters are adults. Because once you get past that, like, I guess you could argue, like, Monster of Mexico and onwards kind of imply it.
Yeah, because I had always thought What's New Scooby Doo
once you get to
was
What's
kind
New
of like
Scooby Doo, they kind of make it seem like they are either seniors or they are, like, entering college age. And then after What's New Scooby Doo, it's very nebulous.
Honestly, it goes all over the place.
I think the last time they explicitly stated that a character that they are past high school age is fucking is fucking Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue? Because
I thought in Mystery Inc. they imply they're adults.
No, in Mystery Inc. they're still in high school.
Oh, I thought in Mystery Inc. they implied
one of the
they
whole
were
plots
adults.
in the beginning of it was them checking out colleges because I think they're like high school seniors, but they are still in high school. And like in movies like Phantasaur, like one of the plots of Phantasaur was that Fred is failing a class. So first of all, how many breaks does their school have that they could just travel the world? I want to believe that they are in a Phineas and Ferb situation where where it seems like summer vacation just never ends.
Yeah, and again, I think it's also just kind of gotten to a point where Scooby-Doo's been going for so fucking long that I don't think it really matters anymore.
I mean, that's fair, but I just really like when they are explicitly adults, just because
that they're like actual like
do like adult
mid to
things.
Mid to late 20s, like actual adults.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is also one of the reasons I fucking hate the return of Zombie Island, with them being retroactively being like, oh no, Daphne didn't host a TV show, she was an intern for a TV show program. It's like, what are you talking about? The show is called Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake.
Unless this was like a Muppets from Space situation where like she like walked on set like Miss Piggy, like.
God, heaven forbid. Oh, sorry, someone sent me a message. But no, like I really do like this concept, and they continue it in Witch's Ghost, which I really like. But we'll get to Witch's Ghost when we get to it. But, like, the other positive that I could say about this movie is the soundtrack fucking rocks. I love the songs in this movie.
I actually, recently, and it actually didn't even have to do with this, I was going through, the covers of the theme songs not too long ago, like the ones that all the movies did, or at least some of them.
I think like Alien Invaders was Billy Ray Cyrus, and
Witch's Ghost.
Witch's Ghost was Billy Ray Cyrus. But yeah, every movie, like these movies had like different bands cover them.
I don't know when they stopped doing it. I want to say it was Legend of the Vampire was when they stopped doing it. I think so,
because Monster of Mexico had like a mariachi cover in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I remember I was going through like every cover of the Scooby-Doo theme, like post the original series, and I was thinking like the Zombie Island one's good. I prefer the one in Witch's Ghost. The best one is still the live action movie.
Oh, the one that's sung by Shaggy.
Wait, do they? I don't remember Matthew Lillard singing it.
No. It wasn't me, Shaggy. Not Matthew Lillard, Shaggy.
Oh, no. I meant the rock one that plays during the climax.
Okay. I'm thinking of the one from the deleted opening.
Yeah, no, I'm talking the one from the climax of the movie. The one that was so good, they reused the exact same song in the second movie's climax. They didn't even get a new band. They just had the same song.
Don't fix it. But yeah, you were listening to the covers.
Yeah, no. Alien Invaders is probably my least favorite of the covers. I don't know what it is. It's this kind of boring, like poppy version. I don't know. It's the same with.
They needed to hold back so that way Groovy could be the #1 hood classic that it is.
But Cyber Chase, I also put really low because Cyber Chase just goes fucking all over the place.
Cyber Chase just has problems. The best song in Cyber Chase is the Cyber Dream song from the montage.
I also like that song. I don't even know. There's no lyrics to it. It's that like song that plays when the monsters are chasing them at the amusement park.
Oh yeah.
But was that Legend of the Vampire has 2 covers, which I think is interesting. It has the one at the beginning, and then Velma sings one,
and then you have Velma, quote unquote,
pop singer Velma dub over artist,
like Velma Montana. But yeah, back to Zombie Island. I love the soundtrack. I mean, Ghost is Here is great. I love everyone loves Terror Time. I've not met a person who doesn't like Terror Time. Are you going to be the person I meet?
I don't have it. No, I was actually going to say, like, no, I don't even have it. I'm not even going to disagree with that. That is like the best part of the movie is that song, in my opinion.
And that whole sequence, like that sequence is so well done. I mean, there's a reason that part is used in every trailer ever, and they reuse that footage for when they re-release like the TV movies on home media. So like, you know, Boo Brothers and Ghoul School and Reluctant,
and then Zombie, and then you get the tonal whiplash of Zombie Island.
Yeah, it's the dumbest shit. I don't know who on the marketing team was like, hey, you know what we should do for our trailer for these goofy little like 80s movies? Let's use Zombie Island footage.
The movies that Ghoul School, a movie that has only like one kind of creepy part in the entire movie, and it's like near the end.
Yeah, but I
would actually argue that Ghoul School is probably like the chillest Scooby Doo movie of all of them.
It has the lowest stakes of just protect children.
Well, and the villain doesn't even show up till like halfway through the movie.
Yeah, like half of the movie is just slight Little Witch Academy shenanigans.
No, I mean it's a very cute movie. I mean, it's to a point where I honestly don't understand why there is a villain in that movie. Really?
I think they were just like, we need stakes, and it's like, I mean,
well, they already had the volleyball tournament.
I guess, yeah. They just couldn't have a beach episode. I'm sorry, but yeah, there's a lot of
that was made up for with the OKKO episode.
There's a lot of positives with this movie, but it's not perfect by any means.
I think the cat shit is really stupid.
I understand Scooby's a dog, but we also just didn't need.
We didn't need a third supernatural twist. Is kind of the other thing. Is that I think the zombies was enough, and that's kind of one of my big issues with the movie, is I think once the third act hits, it kind of feels like they're throwing way too much at you.
My thing is, the cat cult, fine. Zombies, fine. Why is the cat cult's magic causing the zombies to...
The zombies, I don't know. I think that if it was just the zombies and it was like some weird... Hell, if they were just witches or something, I probably would have been more fine with that. I think it's just... I don't know. I think the cat people is just a little too stupid.
Were you too scared to have them do some kind of voodoo?
I mean, they kind of do with the voodoo dolls, but I actually learned this today. I didn't realize that voodoo dolls are technically not a real thing.
Well, yeah, but this is a cartoon. There's also a talking dog, Michael.
No, I don't mean not a real thing as in like they don't exist. I mean not a real thing as in like the
media perception of them.
The media perception of voodoo dolls is that even the culture of I forget, in New Orleans, they have basically denounced the concept of voodoo dolls. It's basically like a Hollywood thing.
Yeah. I mean, I expect that. But like, yeah, it's a very stuff thing, and I understand that they wanted to be like, hey, this is the one where things are real. And the weird thing is, I feel like they added the cat cult to, like, give an explanation to why this is existing, but
they don't explain why it affects the zombies.
My thing is, like, they should have just been like, okay, they did a spell back in the day to get rid of the pirates, and because of that there were consequences. They didn't need to turn into cat people, and I'm not complaining about people turning into cat people. However,
so why did it make them live for like 300 years?
Because I assume they were just... Because that's the thing. The zombies are the ones sucking out the life forces, right? Because when Shaggy gets touched by the zombies, he's going like... So, like, I don't know.
I don't know. Also, the weird thing with the boat guy also being a cat person, I thought was too much.
Yeah, like, I understand that I mean, like, here's the thing. If you've been around for this long, your cult would be way bigger.
No, that's the other thing that doesn't make sense about the cult to me, is that why are there only 3 fucking people? Like, there should be like 100, like at least 100 fucking people.
You can't tell me the guy that was looking for the catfish would not join the cult.
Oh yeah, Mark Hamill's weird fucking nothing character
which is
in
like,
the movie.
Okay, I'm not going to ever complain about Mark Hamill being in a thing.
He's
ever.
Barely in it. It's the other thing.
I understand you needed a red herring. However,
well, they have 2.
Jim, yeah, you have the secret detective who's played by
Cam Clark,
and then you have Mark Hamill, and also you can argue that is it Jim Cummings who plays the... Yeah,
Jim plays the boat guy.
Yeah, like, you could argue Jim could also have been a red herring, except that one actually turned out to be a bad guy. But, like, I feel like, these are all concepts that they improve upon come Witch's Ghost. But,
yeah.
Zombie Island I respect as a walk so things can run kind of movie.
I think it's just they have too many red herrings. I think they kind of blow their wad with too many things at the end in the 3rd act in terms of like the supernatural shit, where I feel like some stuff either doesn't get explained enough or it just kind of feels... Again, I think the cat shit just comes out of fucking nowhere. Really? Like, again, I don't think you needed 2 supernatural things going on.
I agree. And I just like... I like the movie. I really do. I mean, obviously, I do think it's a movie that, because it was the pioneer, a lot of people don't look at the things that, was built upon it. They see the foundation.
And again, I don't want it to sound like I dislike the movie. I think it's a decent movie, but I think it's more just the case of... Especially comparative to Witch's Ghost, I think that it's just... I don't think... My biggest issue with Zombie Island, at least, I think the thing that I've thought on the more is I don't think Zombie Island is fun. I think that's just kind of my other thing.
I mean, I disagree. I have plenty of fun with the movie, but I also think...
I think it's fun at first. I think
I have more of an attachment the first act is fun. To the movie. But
I think the first act is fun, but I think like once the first act ends, I don't think the movie's like super charming.
Are you saying it insists upon itself?
It insists upon itself.
But I do want to point out the big elephant in the room that is shaped like Stimpy. Fucking who?
Oh, I thought you were gonna do Tara Strong.
No, she's not worth it. But like
Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, I mean, Hatsune Miku plays a very pretty designed woman. I mean, I could give this plus the cat girl women. peak design. They look great.
I like Adrienne Barbeau. I think she's very good in the movie, but again, I think it's an actress that I almost wonder if that was intentional casting because she played Catwoman in Batman.
Oh, of course it is.
That's the thing. There's never been confirmation or not, but I've always wondered if that was intentional.
It's true, but no, we're gonna Shaggy, my boy, my baby. Look how they masked him. Who on the pitching team was like, hey, you know who's a great person to get since Casey is not going to be voicing Shaggy?
I guess we should probably bring up the Casey thing for people that don't know, because it's a very weird situation with that.
Yeah, so people may be wondering, why didn't they get Casey Kasem to just voice Shaggy? Well, if you notice that, like, from Zombie Island until we got to
What's New, I think.
No. He played him in Monster of Mexico and Vampire.
Okay.
So, during these TMS movies, not TMS, the
ACOM.
Yeah, the anime movies. They Shaggy's not voiced by Casey. And he wasn't voiced by Casey in commercials or anything either for a while.
Well, it was because of a Burger King ad, I believe.
Yes. So why don't you explain this?
So, do you want the long version or the short? Do you want the long version or the short version?
We got time. We're only a half hour in.
So, in the 80s, Casey Kasem met a woman, and she was very new age and crazy, and had a lot of very bizarre beliefs. And had basically, I am not saying that there is anything wrong with being a vegetarian or a vegan. I am not saying that. But if you know how horrible his wife treated him and basically brainwashed him.
Not all dogs are beagles.
If you know how much she fucked over Casey Kasem's children and him, fuck her. But Casey Kasem had become a vegetarian after his marriage due to his wife. And in the 90s, I think it was 94, there was a Burger King ad that got I don't know the full story, but I think it was a Burger King ad. I don't know if they pitched it to Casey or they just did it without Casey and he found out later. I think it was they pitched it to him. Mm-hmm. But they were doing a Burger King ad, and Casey Kasem was super pissed off that they had Shaggy eating meat. So he basically was like, "Okay, I'm not doing Shaggy anymore unless you make him a vegetarian." This is
not on America's Top 40.
Yeah, he had basically said, "I'm not going to do Shaggy anymore unless you make him a vegetarian." And when they were doing Zombie Island, they did ask him to come back, but they had said, okay, well, you can't have him eating meat. And the problem was they already had animated the scene where he was eating shrimp. And
because like there's no damn way in a New Orleans-based movie that you're not gonna have Shaggy and Scooby not eating like
I'm gonna eat all them po' boys.
Yeah, like there's po' boys and crawfish. There's an entire scene at the beginning where they're eating a bunch of contraband food, including meat.
Yeah, and Casey had found out, and he was like, nope, fuck that, not doing it. So for a 9-year period, Casey Kasem was basically completely absent from Scooby Doo. And apparently, I actually found this out today, Heather North Kenny apparently was going to play Daphne, but I guess they did a script reading or they'd recorded something with her, and I guess they really didn't like how it was sounding. So they ended up opting out for another actor.
And I love Heather North. Like, never quote me as saying that I don't like Heather North, but you can tell in Monster of Mexico and Vampire where their whole aesthetic was, hey,
bring back the original cast,
we got as much original as we can. So we got BJ Ward,
Nicole Jaffe, and Heather North Kenny. They sound old.
Which is so weird, given that Frank Welker's right there, and Frank sounds so young.
So apparently, when Frank recorded for Zombie Island, they actually were asking him to do the voice higher, and he was confused. And they ended up finding out, or because they were like, "Well, why
Oh
does
yeah,
his
because
voice
in the
not sound
original
right?"
Scooby Doo "Where Are You" recordings, because they needed to, time
During
reasons,
syndication,
they sped up the recordings of Scooby Doo, so every character sounded higher pitched than they originally were because of the speed.
Not Chipmunky, but it was like just enough that it was noticeable, and it was
Yeah.
for more ad time, and they did that during the early '90s syndication run on Cartoon Network, and the engineers were like, "Why does he not sound like?" They thought it was because he was older, and they ended up finding
But no,
out
his voice is literally 1-for-1.
It was like, no, it was Ted Turner that was the problem.
But he colorized the moon, and now he did this.
He sped up my friend.
But the thing is like, the point still being, Frank just has an eternally youthful voice.
That man is almost 80 fucking years old, and he still sounds exactly the fucking same.
And you think like, oh, they've done... No! He sounds... Arguably, every character he voices sounds so much... Scooby sounds younger than when Don voiced him, like, originally.
Well, it's funny because he actually played a puppy version of Scooby in the 80s in one episode of the Scooby Scrappy Show.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it sounds nothing like his Scooby in the current day.
That's probably an argument of vocal direction. But yeah, point being, Billy, because of this, Shaggy was voiced by other people around this time. I don't know who voiced him in Bravo Dooby Doo.
I think it was Scott. Let me check.
It was probably Scott, because Lord knows it wasn't Billy.
It was Casey.
Oh, so maybe the Burger King ad must have been 97.
No, I want to say it was like 95.
Okay,
let me
here.
check.
Oh, here, I have it on the good old Wikipedia. Casey Kasem played Shaggy for a time where he was portrayed as a vegetarian by request
96.
of Kasem, so maybe they recorded Bravo Dooby Doo before that.
Maybe. Well, it was 97, and that was the first season. So maybe that's what
they could have done that, or maybe they were just like, hey, he's not eating really in this one, so come on, guys, come on. But yeah. Either way. Usually, they got Scott Innings to replace him, and Scott still does a few Shaggy things. Like
on occasion, it's kind of rare now. It's mostly for like amusement park stuff, I think.
Amusement park stuff, toys, and video games. Because even when Matthew Lillard took over, they did like these Scooby Doo Wii games, which were based off the Cartoon Network live action movies, and Scott voiced Shaggy for those. Basically, if it's not an actual TV show or movie, Scott is voicing Shaggy.
And also, if it's not Lego Dimensions or Multiverses where they had the money to get Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, things that don't have Warner budget. Let's put it like that. And a big thing was these anime movies had Scott being Scooby and Shaggy. With the exception of this one where Scott is only Scooby. So who is Shaggy in this?
We've been having we have circled around for a long time just to say, oh, Billy West.
Look, I like Billy West.
I love Billy West. I love Billy West a lot.
I love my good old Fry Man. Not Frylock, Fry Man. But God, his Shaggy is god-awful.
I don't think it's the worst, but my biggest issue...
The worst is still Scott Menaville.
No, that's not it. Like, Scott Menaville has... Oh my god, Scott Menaville's so bad. But...
Who's the worst in your eyes if Scott Menaville's not the worst?
No, I'm saying Scott is the worst.
Oh, Scott is the worst. And look, I love Scott Menaville too, but who decided to make him Shaggy?
I've heard some people actually really not like Will Forte, which kind of surprised me.
Will,
Which
okay, I mean,
which I'm
like,
not a big fan of Will,
Will
but I don't hate
Forte
it.
is not the worst in my eyes because you know what? At least he gets the tone down. It's not. Meanwhile, Scott sounds like he's doing his best to do a Shaggy, but it just sounds like
It sounds like Robin doing an impression of
it sounds like
Shaggy.
Robin going through puberty. That's what's happening. At
Well,
least
and
could-
my problem with Billy is it sounds like Fry going through puberty.
yeah, and it's just I don't like, look, I'm not one of those people who believes that when an actor succeeds a role, it has to be a voice doubling thing. I don't think that actors have to sound one for one. Scott does not sound like Casey. It's because Scott, you can tell when Scott voices Shaggy because Shaggy is so much more high energy than he's ever been when played by Casey, and that's fine. But Billy just doesn't work, and it's such a glaring. I wish I had the money to get this movie redubbed with Scott voicing Shaggy.
Like, again, it's every time I've ever heard Billy's Shaggy, it just sounds like Fry going through puberty. It's really distracting. It's
so
kind of the same
weird
thing
because Billy does voice doubling for quite a few other characters,
and he's not bad. I will admit I'm not a fan of his Bugs Bunny. But
well, yes, I we need to do a Space Jam at one point so I could talk about how much I do not like. We need to do a cinema Gremlins that's not actually cinema and just us saying our
us just talking about our voiceover hot takes.
We list voice actors and we say our favorite and least favorite characters they've played.
But it's my problem is that Billy can be very good and very bad with impressions. Like, Billy is probably one of the most all over the place people when I've heard in terms of impressions, because his Elmer Fudd is fucking amazing. I love his Elmer Fudd.
His Elmer Fudd is great. He's surprisingly good as Ren when he took over as both Ren and
his
Stimpy.
His Popeye's good.
I like his Popeye better than Tom Kenny's Popeye.
Oh yeah, no, it's his Popeye's a lot better.
With Shaggy, my thing about his Shaggy voice that astounds me in how it doesn't work, which is so weird because I've heard him scream as Fry in characters. His screaming in this movie is so restrained, and I'm like, how does that work? I've seen you scream with more heart in your chest as Fry. Are you okay?
I've always wondered
he has such
why
a weird
he
scream
didn't.
in this movie. It's always like, ah, and they
I've always
reuse
wondered
this scream
why.
like 3 times in the movie.
I've always wondered why he never came back for the other ones.
I've heard that it was a scheduling conflict.
That would make sense because this was the year before Futurama came out. So
I
that
heard it
would
was a
make
scheduling
sense.
conflict. I can fully believe with the amount of executive fighting that took place when making these movies, despite these movies being successful, that it was also probably a budget thing of like, hey, we could just pay an actor to do 2 roles instead of paying 2 separate actors.
Because at the time, God, he was doing like 4 things. He was doing the Woody Woodpecker Show, Futurama, and
dude was as busy as like Dave Coulier in the 90s. Dude was just stacked.
Yeah, he was
roles.
doing Cat Dog, Futurama, and Woody Woodpecker all at the same time.
Yeah, I can totally believe that he doesn't have the commitment for Scoobert Doobert. But yeah, I like Billy, but Billy's Shaggy is one of my least favorite Shaggies of all time. And this is the most lukewarm take on the planet. I know plenty of people who do not like Billy West Shaggy. For people who love Zombie Island, their biggest complaint is Billy's Shaggy.
Well, it's funny because Scott was also right there, which I'm also curious because Scott didn't do anything before that in terms of voiceover. I think he did commercials. I don't think he had actually done a cartoon.
He did commercials. He was the thing was, I think before Zombie Island, his big thing is that he would do Elroy, because around this time the Jetsons were being used for I think Sprint ads.
I'm looking right now. He did Astro for a Radio Shack ad.
Yeah, like they were using the Jetsons for ads, but he would be doing voice doubling for, bit Hanna-Barbera characters. But this movie onwards, like gave him the roles of Scooby, and then Witch's Ghost onwards, Shaggy until Casey came back. And like his most consistent now is that I think he's been the only actor for Scrappy.
Period.
Period.
Since in the 2000s, period. He's the only one.
Because they brought him back to do Scrappy for the live action movie. Which, by the way, just to make the little point here, talking about roles of actors we like that I don't think work. I do not like Scott's Scrappy. It just sounds like a Shaggy without the hippie.
I don't know. His Scrappy's never bothered me.
Scrappy's funny, but I do think and maybe it's just because I'm so Scooby pilled I can hear these things. I feel like a casual listener can't, but I constantly think back to. And I think his Scrappy got better by the time the live-action movie happened, because his Scrappy for the live-action movie was actually pretty good, but.
Something I've always found very bizarre about that movie is that he didn't play the monster Scrappy for some reason.
No, because didn't they just get the Scooby actor to do it?
No, it's they got a whole nother actor. It's JP Manu, the fucking guy who did voice doubling. No, JP Manu was the guy who did voice
JP
doubling.
Manu did the voice doubling for Cusco. For Emperor's New School. And he was also like the very suspicious teacher in Phil of the Future.
He was also the smart Scooby in the second Scooby Doo.
Yeah, what a.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if he just knew someone in production. I don't know. It's just very weird. He
walked onto set and he was like, "Hey, I like the dog." But
Scott, you know how you were recording for Scrappy Monster? Get the fuck out of the studio.
But we have but no, I was gonna say, I keep thinking back to that one Cartoon Network bumper where Scrappy goes on a tirade.
I always think about that when I think of Scrappy.
But it's the very end of that one where it's like, not for me, man, not for me. It's like, oh, Scott, your Shaggy's coming. That's my main thing. I think when Scott does Scrappy, when he gets too angry, he starts to slip into his Shaggy, which is fine. I think he sounds fine when he's just doing the Scrappy. But it doesn't help that a lot of modern Scrappy is written to be a very, very angry boy. But anyways, yeah, Zombie Island, I like it. It's a good film. And I respect it for the precedent it set. However, it walked. So Witch's Ghost could run.
Witch's Ghost doesn't just fucking run, it gallops. Whoa, we fucking same blamed that so brain hard.
Cell there for
Holy
a moment,
shit.
But yes, the Witch's Ghost, I adore this movie. It is the best it's one of my best examples of a sequel in what a sequel is supposed to be, because it is canon. This is a direct sequel to Zombie Island. It does what I think a sequel is supposed to do, in that it takes aspects of the first movie and improves upon it while still being its own thing.
I think it's also just the thing that this one, weirdly, I think introduced more long-standing shit to Scooby Doo. Because we also got the fucking Hex Girls, which I think are the only carryover that has lasted from the movies, because they still appear in shit.
Oh yeah, and they were supposed to have their whole new thing, until Zaslav decide, hey, I'm gonna take my dick and fuck the dog.
Wait, there was gonna be a Hex Girl show?
They were not a show, but they were gonna make a movie called High Rise something, and it was shelved along with the second Scoob,
the haunted Halloween movie, haunted holiday,
the
or whatever,
mystery pup show that they were making. A bunch of Scooby shit got shelved because of Zaslav wanted to fuck the dog. metaphorically, I'm not saying that David Zaslav fucks dogs.
Red Rocket Reggie.
He put a finger in your butt. Like, fuck this. But Witch's Ghost, I remember getting the VHS tape for Witch's Ghost, and if I remember correctly, they used to put Courage episodes in front of Scooby Doo.
Did Zombie Island have the one? Or which one? One of them had the Courage pilot at the end.
One of them had the Courage. Let me look that up.
I want to say.
Why don't you talk about your liking of this movie while I look up Witch's Ghost VHS Courage?
I want to say it was Witch's Ghost. It might have been Alien Invaders, but Witch's Ghost to me is just one of those, like, it's like one of the perfect seasonal movie to me, which is so weird because I was talking about this earlier.
Yep, here it is. For the 1999 VHS tape, we have Stay Tuned, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Chicken from Outer Space, US release only.
And that was on Witch's Ghost?
Yep, and it also included a promo for the Witch's Ghost soundtrack, a video preview for The Iron Giant, and the thing I remember, it also had a trailer for the Jack Frost movie. You know,
yes!
The Keaton one.
The Keaton. We talked about the Keaton one 2 years ago.
The
hey, I slimmed down.
Yes, one.
I will defend that movie. I like that movie.
I know, but the puppet is creepy, man.
I don't think the puppet. Maybe I just don't find it's very hard for me to find puppets creepy, but I don't find that puppet that creepy. I don't know.
But yes, I think Alien Invaders had the King Ramses episode.
Yes, it did.
I knew. Fast forward when I was a kid.
I was that fucking kid who Courage like never scared me like at all. I fucking love
special
Courage.
Little boy. You want a lollipop?
The only Courage thing that ever scared me was in the Roach Motel episode with
see those bones?
Like Bushwick. But no, the thing that scared me was a part that's supposed to be the jump scare. Yeah, no, that scared me. Like that scared me.
Yeah,
but. As I was saying, Witch's Ghost is such a weird thing because I always see that as a Halloween movie. It is unabashedly a Thanksgiving movie.
Well, it's kind of like how people attribute Jingle Bells to being a Christmas song when the song's actually supposed to take place during Thanksgiving.
Like,
Thanksgiving just keeps getting fucked in the things that it claims.
Like, Over the Garden Wall, I just call Over the Garden Wall a fall show. I don't even call it a Halloween thing. It is just, like, Over the Garden Wall is, like, the most autumn fucking thing ever created.
Like, you could argue, it starts on Halloween, but they don't get home till Thanksgiving. You can't tell me otherwise.
Like, Over the Garden Wall, like, it's why I watch Over the Garden Wall in November, because I just consider it an autumn thing. Like,
yeah. But let's just sing the praises. First of all, again, this movie looks beautiful, and this may just be because, you know, I grew up in the areas that this movie takes place in, because it takes place in the Northeast.
It's not Salem. It's a made-up town, isn't it?
It's not Salem. It's somewhere in New England.
Oh, I thought it was an actual, I thought it was like a made-up town.
No, well, made-up town, but it does say that it takes place New England area.
Peter Griffin.
Holy crap, Lois! We're in the Witch's Ghost.
Holy crap, Lois! It's the Witch's Ghost.
Holy crap, Lois! It's Ben Ravencroft. Oak Haven, Massachusetts. Okay, so it's in Massachusetts, but like oh wait, Oak Haven actually is a place in is it in Mass? What's the what's the initial for Massachusetts? The state
MA.
initial. MA?
Yeah.
Well, okay, there's a campground in Massachusetts called Oak Haven, and it looks terrifying. It looks very much like someone in a trailer park is going to stab me at night. But anyways, like, Massachusetts area. Holy crap, Lois.
Holy crap, Lois.
Holy crap, Lois, we gotta solve this mystery.
We gotta solve the mystery of the witch's
Sally
ghost.
Thorne McKnight, Lois, with Tim Curry. I can't do Peter because it just turns into Fran Drescher really fast. Mr. Sheffield. Anyways, but yeah, this movie looks beautiful, especially being like fall Massachusetts. The leaves are changing. It's so pretty. It's a very different vibe visually from the art direction in Zombie Island, because
I think it's also, well, there's a lot more color in this one.
Because a lot of it, because so much of Zombie Island takes place in the span of one evening. This one,
it's like
has
2-3 days.
Yeah, this
like
one
that.
has a lot more setup for their things, because one of the things to praise about Witch's Ghost is that I think it handles the subversion of the Scooby tropes better, because it first plays along with the Scooby trope before subverting it.
Yeah, well, that's I think it eases into the dark shit a lot better than I maybe that's blasphemy for me to say that, but I genuinely think this eases tonally into the darker shit in the third act better than Zombie Island does. I think it's also because I think it's genuinely a decent twist is the other thing.
Because I think like it puts you into a false sense of security, which I think Zombie Island sadly suffers a little bit from its marketing, in that, because so much of the marketing because I looked up the promos for Zombie Island recently, and
they go hard horror.
Like,
they go
this
hardcore
time,
horror.
The ghosts are
the
real.
Monsters
this has
are
never
real.
happened before. Don't look over there at 13 Ghosts.
Do you know that's one of the other things? I was talking to some friends a few days ago about that. That frustrates me so much about that movie, is that everybody always talks about like, oh, that's like the first time the monsters are real. Fuck you, Boo Brothers and Ghoul School are right there.
Boo Brothers, Ghoul School, Reluctant Werewolf.
13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo. Like, I hate that so much, and I know that might be petty, but it annoys the shit out of me.
They're all right there. Oh, well, they're red shirt. They don't count. Shut up!
Shut the fuck up. Scrappy Doo existed.
Do Star Wars Legends me about.
Don't you fucking erase Scrappy Doo from history like Warner Brothers has.
Canonize my life. Also, I can confirm Billy did not come back for this one because he needed time to work on Futurama.
Yeah, again, because this came out the same year. Yeah, that again, it came out the same year, so that doesn't shock me.
But also, we should have acknowledged this in the first when we talked about Zombie Island, but it's also worth acknowledging here. These two movies are also notable for being when Mary Kay Burgum voiced Daphne, and I love her Daphne.
She's a very, very good Daphne, and it makes me really, really wonder where her career would be, because I genuinely think she could have been a really, Grey Delisle level.
In this timeline, I don't think if Mary Kay was still around in this timeline, I don't think Grey would have ever been Daphne.
No, I don't think Grey would have ever been Daphne. There wouldn't have been like so many changes to the South Park cast with the female characters. Like,
there's a serious possibility that Tara would never be Timmy.
That's another thing I've thought about, is that would Tara and Grey's career... Well, I don't know if Tara's career would have launched nearly as much.
Because, like, Mary was basically their mentor and their superior in these things.
Well, that and Grey, she was friends with both of them.
Well, yes, and like, look, we're not stating this in like a malicious way, kind of.
No.
But it's more the thing of I think Mary Kay accomplishes with her and I know a lot of people are like, "What are you talking about? Daphne is just a girl kind of voice," and I highly disagree. You need to get a type of voice for Daphne that is kind of prissy, but also very charismatic, because that's the thing, Daphne is the charisma of the game.
You can't make her a dumb blonde.
Yeah, because she's not a valley girl by any, and I feel like bad Daphnes tend to make her stupid but I think like the the thing about Daphne, and this was like a big one of the things about the live action movies that I really didn't like is that it kind of perpetuated this, oh, Daphne's danger prone thing. And it's like, I don't believe that. I think like Daphne's whole point of the group is that she's the people person. Because I would argue Fred is not a people person.
No, Fred is not, especially in Mystery Inc. Fred is not a people
Fred
person.
is a strategic guy. Velma is the looking up, and then Shaggy and Scooby are, the physicality of the group. But Daphne is like the charismatic one, and that's the reason why that I really like in Witches, Ghosts, and Zombie Island. They have her future self is hosting a show.
I think it's my other thing I think is so crazy about Mary Kay Bergman. When you look back at how short of her career was, she had a 10-year voiceover career by the time she died. She had nearly 200 fucking credits in 10 years. Like, that's insane for a 10-year voiceover career to get that many credits in such a short time. Not even 10 years, 8 years.
I've heard some people criticize her Daphne for being too high-pitched, which I'm like, you can't say that when Grey exists, because Grey and Mary Kay's Daphnes are both very high-pitched. And I think people just kind of forget that the other voices were from a different because like the predecessors are Heather North and
Indira Christofferson was her name.
Like and those people had deeper voices, but those were just the general voices at the time. And then even then, as we learned with Zombie Island, a lot of voice engineers just thought that everyone had higher pitched voices because of the syndication run. But I think Mary Kay's Daphne is just so good. But BJ Ward is a fantastic Velma. She's one of my favorite Velmas.
I love BJ. She might be my favorite Velma. I love BJ.
I mean, I would need to re-examine it because Mindy is my favorite Velma. But that may just be because I grew up with Mindy's Velma. I'm okay with Kate Micucci's Velma.
I think Kate is honestly like
Kate's a really good Velma.
Her voice is just so natural in that role.
Yes,
I think
it's
she's
so
a great
effortless
pick.
because that's just her voice, But BJ is just iconic. She has like a great mix of what Velma would become and what Velma was. I think she's just a great mix of both, which is also just this incarnation's Velma is really good.
I like that. Well, also Witch's Ghost is during that period where they were kind of trying to get Velma to hook up with a lot of guys.
My bisexual icon, Velma Dinklage.
Yeah, that period where they were really trying to get Velma to hook up with a lot of people. And I really like the chemistry she has with the Ravencroft character, which I guess we should go over. Basic plot.
Speaking of voices and icons.
Fucking... I have a pro and a con with this. So
okay, I'll let you have the table. I've been talking for quite a bit.
So the main plot is they end up in this. They end up in this like witch. It's kind of like Salem Witch Town, like a show town where a lot of their business venue comes from the fact that they were a pilgrimage city, like founded during that period. And there is a guy there named Ben Ravencroft. He's a famous author. Velma loves his books. And he is played by fucking Tim Curry, who is the best actor who's ever lived, and I will not hear another opinion. And he is really fun in this movie, but I have a very big negative with him in this movie at the same time.
The character or the actor?
The actor. Well,
okay.
More so the acting of the actor. My God, Tim Curry can't do an American accent to save his life.
Yeah,
to the point that he just basically drops it in the third act.
Once Ben goes full evil.
No, he goes in and out of American accent throughout the entire movie.
If I had a nickel for every time that people hired Tim Curry to do an American accent in an animated film, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's concerning.
What's up,
twice.
nerd?
But my thing is just you you're in New England. Just say that Ben has.
Just say he's like traveling from Europe or something.
Like,
or
just
like
say that, because he could still have an American ancestor. Like, believe it or not, families can be in more than one place.
There's a thing that happened in the 15th century that I think a lot of Americans don't like talking about called mass immigration.
The real ghost, the ghost of Ellis Island. Oh, the missing Scooby Doo movie where they go to New York.
And they meet a
Where's
bunch
the
of
Ghostbusters plot where they go to Ellis Island and there's all?
I am blown away. They've never attempted a Ghostbusters crossover with Scooby-Doo.
It's because they're not owned by the same people. But
I know, but
Ghostbusters can be in Lego properties.
That's what I'm saying. Possible. That's what I'm saying. You would think that like both companies would find some agreement to do some kind of crossover, even if it's just a comic or something.
Yeah, but anyways, like, besides that, I love Ben's character.
I will never complain about a Tim Curry. I will never, ever complain about a Tim Curry. You will complain
about the voice direction.
I will complain about the voice direction, but I am not saying he is a lot of fun in this movie. But my God, do not make Tim Curry do an American accent because he can't do it.
But him and Ben and Velma had great chemistry. It almost makes you sad that the twist happens.
The twist where you find out that he's a warlock.
I am a male witch, which means that I am a warlock.
I love how I said a warlock.
Also, like, the entire cast just pops their pussies for this performance. Because you obviously have Scott taking over as Shaggy. I love a Shaggy. I love Scott Shaggy so much.
Oh, he's great.
It's so energetic and fun. And I think his Scooby's pretty good. It's definitely.
I think he's a little too cheeky.
He's a little too high pitched for my taste for Scooby.
I think his Scooby. I really like his Scooby. It's a little too high. I think he kind of has the problem of when Frank started doing it, where he kind of got a little too cheeky, like when he would speak.
Yeah, like I think Scott is third place for me because I think my favorite is Frank, then Don, and then Scott. But Frank is Fred.
I really like the guy from the movie too. I really like him.
Is pretty good too. But Frank has never done Fred badly in his life. He is Fred with his treasure. So
they're gonna take my treasure.
We already talked about Mary Kay and BJ. Tim is amazing as Ben once you get past the terrible American accent.
We gotta talk about the Hex Girls.
Yes, this is what I'm.
You can't talk about this movie and not talk about the Hex Girls.
Why don't people let Jennifer Hale sing as much as she should? Because she has a fantastic singing voice.
I have those fucking songs on my Spotify playlist. I fucking love the two Hex Girl songs in this movie. They are genuinely really good songs.
The Hex Girls theme.
I don't know if Jennifer Hale has really sung in almost anything outside of this now that I think about it.
I'm imploring myself to think if she has, but because I feel like she must have been in a Disney thing that has.
Oh, she's probably sung for Cinderella a few times, but
Cinderella and Aurora probably, but outside of that, which Hex Girls is a completely different genre of music in comparison. But she's great. Kimberly Brooks is Luna. I mean, who doesn't love Kimberly? What shocked me was later on in life, I looked up the Hex Girls actors, and the voice of Dusk, the Harley Quinn.
I looked this up earlier. Actually,
she's an actual musician.
Yeah, she was part of a band called the Go-Go's.
Yeah, and I love looking at her Wikipedia because it says member of the Go-Go's, Frosted, and the Hex Girls, as if the Hex Girls are an act. I would have loved a timeline where the Hex Girls became like a Gorillaz type deal where they were just an animated band.
Well, it's funny because she also did a pretty fair amount of voiceover work. She was a recurring character in in Mission Hill. So
Oh, that makes so much sense. But yeah, like they did fantastic. The Hex Girls are just like, they're not there for a long time, but damn, they're there for a good time.
I have never. It's one of those times where characters have so little screen time. I think they're only in like 4 scenes in the movie. Mm-hmm. They appear like 15, 20 minutes in. They
perform a song. It causes a bit of attention of Fred being attracted to Thorn, but that
because to be fair, who wouldn't?
Wouldn't? And I mean, it mostly just leads into Fred and Daphne having their obligatory romantic scene in the movie, because that was just kind of a thing. Is that each movie would have a little moment where Fred and Daphne are implied to be together. It wasn't like.
For some reason, they would never just flat out say it.
Yeah, but... like it's a very Mario and Peach situation where it's just like the I have to wonder, is the first time of them being explicitly together the live action movies?
Maybe.
Like it's the live action movies, which. The live-action movies also, like, had a deleted scene that shows that the two are actually engaged in Monsters Unleashed.
That's weird. I mean, to be fair, I guess they don't really bring it up ever again.
You've seen Monsters Unleashed, right?
Oh, fuck yeah, I've seen Monsters Unleashed.
Okay, you know the scene where they're making the disc that's going to destroy the
transmuker device from Spy Kids 2?
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. I refuse to think that's not what that prop is.
There's a scene in the theatrical cut where they hold on to them melting metal, but the deleted part was Fred and Daphne taking off their engagement rings to make the disc. But however, they have the scene of the rings being melted, but there's no setup of what the rings are. So, I guess they were just expecting everyone who watches this children's movie to have media literacy.
I never even put that together that's what that was.
Yeah, but no, there was a deleted scene apparently where it was it was just a deleted part of the montage where Fred and Daphne take off their engagement rings to melt, which makes that disc so impactful of like, wow, they all really put their ussies into it.
Well, I guess that also puts into perspective that I guess they just didn't think it was that important.
I guess, but
because they never really imply anything in the movie.
I know, but so. I wonder if like I want to see a work print of that movie, because they may have had more references to it, especially since Mystery Incorporated, Monsters Unleashed is a very sentimental movie compared to the first one. So, but yeah. The Hex Girls are amazing for the short time span they're in. Besides completely butchering what a Wiccan is.
Oh, man. I actually, when I was in college, I actually knew a Wiccan. Like, I had never met a Wiccan in my life, and she had actually talked to me, because I was like, I had brought up Witch's Ghost, because I had said that's how I had heard of a Wiccan. And she's like, yeah, that's not a good representation of what a Wiccan is.
They word it like white people who say that they're 1/16 Native American.
Yeah.
It's like you do realize Wiccan is a religious belief borderline, not a hereditary thing. Right? I need to know that you know this. And then, outside of that, you got Neil Ross and Bob Joles and Tress MacNeille. Tress as Sarah Ravencroft is so good for the short.
She's so good.
She's so I wish Tress would play more threatening characters, because she's fucking
one of the best fucking one-off characters in Avatar is a villain she played. Like
the scene where spoilers, the witch gets defeated
in a movie that's almost 25 years old.
Don't say that. Don't make me feel this way.
But... Oh, don't worry. Zombie Island turned 25 this year.
I can feel myself decomposing. But, when the witch is being pulled back into the book and grabs Ben by the ankle, he's like, no, I will not be alone. It's like, oh my God. She was saying that line like rent was due.
I think that's kind of another thing I got to talk about, is that how this movie ends is you find out the twist is that because Ben has been looking for the book that she wrote, and it was like he explains it like it's a diary. I think
it was a medical journal, basically.
Yeah,
because how he talks about Sarah is that she was falsely accused of being a witch, but really she was using Wiccan, homeopathic
black magic
remedies to heal people. And
yeah.
She has like a journal, and like, oh, if I find this medical journal, it'll prove her innocence, because the town that they go to, Oakhaven, constantly profits off of her.
It's actually the halfway twist of the movie, is you end up finding out, because they're investigating the town because they talk about there's a bunch of spooky shit that's been happening, and they end up finding out that the mayor has been and Thorne's dad have been making this like witch fly around town, and it's like a publicity stunt kind of thing.
A typical Scooby Doo.
Yeah, and that's the halfway point of the movie. So once that basically resolves the mystery, but then you have to figure out, okay, well, what's up with the book?
Yeah,
and then you get your second twist.
They also have a really good grasp of Chekhov's gun in this movie.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Because some of the establishing stuff for the movie is, them going around this very Amish adjacent town, and they find a little belt buckle in the beginning of the movie that Shaggy just puts on his shoe, and this does not come back up until later on, where they're like, oh, what? 1, 2,
like 1, 2, buckle my shoe, like 3, 4, buckle.
I need to get Will to do that as Shaggy.
Shaggy kicks, like that is so fire.
Fuck off. I'm trying to make a point here in your TikTok.
I'm sorry, that's like, I could not get it out of my head.
You were like SpongeBob and Patrick listening to the Goofy Goober song in the bar, just like
24.
But like, it doesn't get brought up until after the whole first twist, and they're like, oh yeah, so when we were digging up the town for the festival to move stuff around, we found a grave marker, which, by the way, that's an unfortunate implication of this.
That's also
they just dug up graves, and because they also mentioned bones.
Which implies that they probably disturbed the remains of God knows how many bodies.
Like, we're one step away from going into the movie Poltergeist. Like, we just need a house built on top of this. But because of that, the belt buckle wasn't like a belt buckle. It was actually like the
lock for a book.
Yes, which you actually see in the portrait of Sarah that Ben has in his house, which is really good. Like, if I was a child, which I am, like, I would not have seen that coming.
No, I mean, it's not like the most mind-blowing twist, but it's a very good twist.
It's above Blue's Clues level, which impresses me.
Like, and that's when you find out that Ben's been bullshitting. Technically, he's been bullshitting the entire time. I'm like, oh no, she was an actual witch.
And that makes me a warlock.
Hey, that makes me a warlock. And then he opens the book, and then giant green spiral comes out, and then the witch's ghost in the title is released. And my favorite part is she doesn't even want to fucking work with him.
She just wants to she just wants to watch the world burn.
No, genuinely, she gets out of the book. He's like, hey, I want to work with you. And she's genuinely like, I don't give a fuck about you. Die. And she like throws him against a tree.
Yeah, like he has a brief moment of regret and then he dies. And when that's
like the dies. Like he gets sucked into the, like when they suck her back into the book.
Into the book, and then a fucking branch that was on
burning
fire.
tree. A burning tree branch falls onto the book, engulfing it in flame, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the first time they've implied, like, I mean, they killed the villains in the thing, but is that the first time they've actually, like, implied, like, in Zombie Island, is that the first time they've actually killed, like, a straight human character in...
hold on, let me think.
Like, and I don't mean, like, the character had been dead for, like, hundreds of years, like in Zombie Island. I mean, like, is that the first time they actually, like, killed
like a currently
character?
living person that wasn't sucking the life force out of a bendy straw like the cat.
Well, and, like, not even died. Like, the implication of what happened to him is even more fucked up.
Yeah,
because you don't know what that means,
that
getting sucked into
still
the book.
Sentient in the book.
Yeah, so it's like basically all of his being, like not even just his body, like just he himself is just
his soul is gone.
Like
this is
he literally does not.
His soul goes to rest. It's like
there's no body to bury. He's just gone.
Yeah, like his books are the only thing that will outlive him. But
I want to know what the fuck they updated his Wikipedia page to say after he died.
Professional, like it died of a heart attack.
Died of the heart attack. Body mysteriously never found.
Like the Scooby Gang had to be the one to make his Wikipedia article. But
like now, do you want me to say he was burned alive, or do you want me to say he just went missing?
Hey, should we donate $1 to help the site run? But
everybody in that town got paid off to keep it a secret.
I mean, what else would you do? Right? Like,
well, it'd be like if Stephen King got sucked into a portal to hell. What would you do? What do you say?
Because I feel like there is more existential problems to just telling people, hey, by the way, magic is real.
By the way, magic is real, and your favorite author was a warlock, and he got sucked into a book, and then the book caught on fire.
We just came back from a place where zombies existed, and there's also a cult.
Also, we have a giant turkey now.
Yeah, the turkey thing doesn't get resolved.
Yeah, they don't resolve the turkey.
I mean,
for some reason, the turkey doesn't change back to normal like the pumpkins do.
If that turkey doesn't get pardoned by the president, he's going to live a very scary life.
Bill Clinton was still president at the time. I hereby pardon this 7-foot tall turkey.
I'm here to pardon the. Oh my God!
Where the fuck did this turkey come from?
He's bigger than Hillary. This movie's just so good.
It's so good.
And it's so well paced. I love that for a movie that is only 66 minutes, it feels very lived in. And I mean that in the best way, because you have your setup and everything, but there's plenty of time spent to just establish the town and its people and everything. It's a
very cozy movie.
It very much is. And, violently uncomfortable when we have to see Shaggy and Scooby just mukbang without anyone else's consent.
Oh, like it's time to baste this bird!
That's such a good shot too.
It's a horrible shot.
My favorite shot of the movie.
They couldn't have not known with that shot.
They knew. But my favorite shot of this movie, and it's not like any of the actually good shots, because let me tell you, once Ben reveals he takes the mask
that's
off,
a fucking amazing shot. That fucking camera zoom and it shoots up into the sky.
The entire witch moment, because Sarah Ravencroft is also animated beautifully in this movie. There's a lot of moving pieces. She looks scary, but my favorite shot of the movie is when they're eating. And then there's this Zenigata-looking motherfucker who turns around to look at Scooby and Shaggy, and Scooby just puts his bowl down and smiles, and there's just soup leaking from his
Can I talk about my favorite delivery of in the entire movie, like line
right
delivery?
ahead, bud.
When Ben realizes that the witch isn't gonna work with him, like, and he's like pissed off, and he's like, "Hey, I have the fucking book. Okay, you're gonna fucking listen to me.
But
the
I have the book.
I have the book." Like, just the way
It
Tim
sounds
Curry.
like a Maurice LaMarche delivery.
Yeah, no, he doesn't say it like, "I am the one with the book." Here, it's like, "No, I have the book." Like,
you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Father from Codename Kids Next Door.
You want to watch a cartoon on the television?
Like, it just has a very particular cadence, and it's not a Tim Curry cadence. It's just a scream. But I mean, Tim also just Tim is also a huge Scooby fan, so you could tell he was enjoying every moment of this.
I think Tim is one of the most recurring celebrities in Scooby-Doo projects, because he was in that video game. Was it Unmasked? I think is what it was called.
Unmasked,
Night of 100 Frights. That's what it was.
Yes, he was in Night of 100 Frights, and he's also in the shitty Goblin King movie.
I kind of like Goblin King.
You know, it's okay to be wrong.
I kind of like it.
We could do another Gremlins about
Goblin King in December.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Here's Goblin King. But yeah, I also special shout out to Bob Joles for being the diner owner in this, because like there's just something really funny about him.
They made it look weirdly like him too.
Yeah, like I love when he's describing the food to Shaggy and Scooby, because I'm like, you know what? I get it. I get why Shaggy and Scooby would be foaming at the mouth, because it's also very funny to watch this movie and hearing Bob Joles after watching Big City Greens, because
it's like the same exact voice.
It's just Bill. Like it's just Bill, and it's like, man, I'm just imagining Bill from Big City Greens being around Shaggy and Scooby, because Shaggy and Scooby would eat all of his crops. This would be the pestilence from fucking the
Prince of Egypt.
Like just Shaggy and Scooby walking in and eating all the corn.
No, Mother of God, no.
I send to the pestilence and plague into your house. Around your feet, around. Like I said, the Lord. But yeah, look, if you people haven't watched Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost or Zombie Island yet, what's wrong with you?
How did we not even talk about the Billy Ray Cyrus cover of the theme?
Oh yeah, go right ahead. Talk about it.
So yeah, in the opening scene, which is pretty much disconnected from everything,
it's basically the setup before Ben comes in to hire the Scooby Gang.
Yeah, they got, of all people, Billy Ray Cyrus to do a theme of the Scooby, like a cover of the original Scooby-Doo theme. It's really fucking good. I think that might be of the animated covers, that might be my favorite.
It's like, God damn it, Billy Ray, why must you have two and a half good songs in your library? Because there's this Achy Breaky Heart and his verse in Old Town Road.
His cover of Real Gone's honestly not bad.
I've never heard it.
Yeah, he did a cover of Real Gone, I think like a year after Cars came out. It's not bad.
You want to know something about Witch's Ghost that astounds me and also angers me?
What?
It has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why?
But it also probably is just, I have to wonder
people unfairly comparing it to the previous one.
I wonder if it's just not enough reviews, because
it probably only has like 6 or 7.
But I'm looking at like some of the written reviews like on the Wikipedia, and there was
it only has 6 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Parkinson of the Radio Times gave the film 2 out of 5 stars, saying this full-length cartoon featuring the ghost-hunting teenage detectives is something of a mixed bag. Joe Newmailer from Entertainment Weekly said, though slyly written, it doesn't have the punch of last year's Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, but it's still scarier than the Blair Witch Project. What a weird jab.
No, I need to talk about this one on Rotten Tomatoes, this negative review. yoinks! This movie is like crap, man.
Yoinks!
Yoinks! The dude couldn't even get the right fucking saying. Also, I was like, Michael A. Smith from Nolan's Pop Culture Review, and I looked at his other reviews, and the first thing I see is a 5 out of 5 for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny and The Flash.
So we know that his opinion is worth less than dirt. You know what we need to do, Michael? We need to become an accredited film review source so we can put reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
If Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns can get on Rotten Tomatoes, I think we can.
So can Cinema Gremlins. I also love on Wikipedia, the film was criticized by religious groups upon its release.
What?
Who claimed the Hex Girls were of the devil, luring young girls
Wait. They were complaining about the Hex Girls, but not the actual witch in the movie.
Yeah.
That's so fucking weird.
It's just so weird seeing this film get a 50% when on Rotten Tomatoes, Zombie Island has an 88.
Let me look at other. I'm actually curious. Before we end this, I'm curious. I want to look at like other Scooby Doo, like straight to DVD things, and see if there's any other movies that have actual Rotten Tomatoes scores. I'm assuming not very many.
I assume the first 4, and then maybe like
probably
Abracadabra Do.
So far, no. I'm all the way back to 2002. Cyber Chase, Alien Invader. Yeah, all 4 of them do. Cyber Chase is a fucking 60.
What? In no universe should Cyber Chase have a higher rating than Witch's Ghost.
Alien Invaders is an 80, which actually surprises me. Which I like I do like Alien Invaders. I'm just surprised to see it that high.
Alien Invaders, Witch's Ghost, and Zombie Island, I'm fine if they have similar scores. I am not okay with
Cyber Chase. Fucking.
I'm not okay with Witch's Ghost being the least of these 4.
Let me look at audience score for those ones. I'm actually curious. Not Woaches. Witch's Ghost. Like Woaches, but
like it's
a 75.
It's
a 75 with the people, and Zombie Island was a 79 with the people.
Okay, at least it's similar, but it still feels low.
Well, let me look at what Cyber Chase. If Cyber Chase is in the fucking 70s, I swear.
Well, I mean, consumer people can be kind of dumb.
Cyber Chase is a 66 with the people, so it's about the same as the critics.
Okay, nature's balancing. What about
Scooby Doo and the Scooby Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf has a score.
What a particular. It's the furries.
Yeah, it's a 20.
How dare they? I love Reluctant Werewolf.
I just remember it being really long. I just remember it being really long. That's all I remember about Reluctant Werewolf.
Hold on, let me look up Reluctant Werewolf.
Hour 35. It is the longest Scooby-Doo movie. Not counting the theatrical films, it is the longest Scooby-Doo film. Why that one? It's a really weird one.
Even Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood, which was very highly advertised because it was like a big television special, is only 49 minutes. Because keep in mind, folks.
Yeah, Ghoul School doesn't even have a fucking score.
Ghoul School, Reluctant Werewolf, and Boo Brothers were TV movies. They weren't like put for DVD. DVD.
Ghoul School is a fucking hour and a half? Oh my god.
You better look over. You better watch out. But, like, God. I love Witch's Ghost. One thing I remember, though, is when I got the DVD for Witch's Ghost back in the day. Because I had the VHS, but I got the DVD once DVDs came out. They had a bunch of music segments. And it wasn't just like, I'm assuming this was stuff that was on the soundtrack, but there's one song on the DVD that I love because they use footage from Witch's Ghost and Zombie Island, which is called America is in Love with Scooby-Doo. And there's a shot, and I think it's a shot from Zombie Island, where Scooby opens the back doors of the Mystery Machine and he's smiling, but they have green screened. You know, they chroma keyed out it's the Mystery Machine and Scooby. They chroma keyed out the background and just put the American flag.
God bless America.
God, Rod Resh America.
Rod Resh America.
Remember Revered Rorm.
No.
It's just, look, if you ever want to laugh at such a weirdly patriotic thing, go look up America's in Love with Scooby Doo.
Why wasn't that Donald Trump's campaign song?
America's in love with Scooby Doo.
I love Scooby Doo. I'm a big fan. Always been a big fan.
I never got. You may realize that I am one of the few White House presidents without a pet, and that's because Scooby Doo is not a real dog, and that would be the only dog I would want.
The only dog I ever want is Scooby Doo and Huckleberry Hound.
Oh, my darling Clarentine. But yes, I feel like we've talked a lot about Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, and I think it's very apparent, Michael, which one we think is superior.
Again, I like both, but if I could pick one, I would definitely pick Witch's Ghost. And if you could pick
one, it's obviously Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights.
I'm not even going to justify that one, so...
starring Mandark himself.
In a movie that basically rips off the plot of a Bugs Bunny film.
Oh, God. I watched this recently, so that's why it was in my mind. But that's a gremlin for another day.
That is not a gremlin that will happen any day.
Please, I need to talk about Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights.
Not here, you don't.
Fine. It won't be the cinema gremlins. It'll just be the cinema cinnamon
gremlin.
It'll just be the cinema gremlin, singular.
Stand in front of the fucking amazing digital circus curtain and just talk to yourself for 90 minutes.
Look, man. Wait, hold on. I can imitate that right now. Go away.
No!
No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. It'll be funny. For fuck's sake.
It's like a nesting doll of Scooby-Doo.
And then I'll just go. Okay, so Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights was a movie that they released. It's not really a Scooby movie, but they decided to make Scooby-Doo the headliners.
You need to add like an echo effect.
Hold on, let me just back away and talk from the other end of my room. Give me 1 second. I can't hear you right now, but... Okay, so Scooby-Doo and the Arabian Nights was a Scooby-Doo movie. It wasn't really a Scooby-Doo movie, and they just had a bunch of Hanna-Barbera characters, and McGillicuddy meets a Cyclops played by Maurice LaMarche. Alright, everyone, we will see you next time on Cinema Gremlins. Keep watching.
Bye.